So I want to talk about how best to use Charisma University, because what happens with a lot of programs, any sort of growth-oriented program, is that they're just daunting, right? You look at it, there's all these modules, how do I start, where do I begin, how does this become something that is second nature to me? That question is never answered, and that is what I want to take care of right now. So first off, if you know that in the next few days or even tomorrow, there's going to be an event where you need a specific aspect of this, right? If you know that you're going to be telling stories, if you know that there's a networking event where you want to be more magnetic or you're going to have to make a great first impression, hit the module that you need, right? Go ahead, hit it right now. You can cherry pick basically what you want. This is designed so that you can take any of these modules separate from another and still get a lot out of it. That said, the real value of the entire program is when you bring it together, right? All of the different modules build off of one another, and it's really when you start to combine them into something that you're living, like every single aspect, that's where you start to get ahead in work. That's where you see your social life take off. That's where it becomes very easy to interact with just about anybody and get a positive reaction. So, the way that I recommend doing this is start with first impressions and move your way through the modules at the rate of one a week. And the reason that I say one a week is because I've set it up with something called these integration actions after each module. And there's several of them in each one. But the idea of this is that you don't just watch it and it's like a seminar and it happens to you. I've gone through and broken down the specific things you need to do on a day-by-day basis to go through and actually begin to integrate what you've learned into your own life. Now I want to stop and talk about how this sort of came to be, because this has been something that I've been interested in a long time, right? My interest in my own life and with the people that I work with is how do I make charisma something that you just live? How is it something that you just feel and it becomes part of you rather than having to be, oh, like I need to think it, turn it on, right? So this started way back. I'd written Charisma on Command, the book, and a sizable portion of that book is dedicated to the action guide, which I'm very proud of. Now, an interesting thing happened is that a reader reached out to me and said, hey, I love your book. I found it super helpful. The action guide is great. I love the focus on actually changing. But I have to say, as an expert on habits, this could be laid out better. And in fact, what you're going to find happens is that so many people read your book, get fired up, get to the action guide, be interested, and then be daunted by the fact that some of them are really hard to get into. And some of them, they might not have the right sort of reminder in their day to make eye contact or smile or do whatever it is. So if you're interested, I'd love to talk to you about how you can make it better. Needless to say, I was intrigued. This is something that I'm fascinated by. So I got on the phone and he ran me through something that is out of Stanford, right? BJ Fogg has this thing called tiny habits. And he basically ran me through how human psychology can be used in a way that it supports habit creation, or can be used in a way that it sort of takes away from it. And I'll say the way that I laid it out was pretty average, right? It did not really harness the power of psychology to help people do this. If you were extremely committed and you got through the action guide, awesome, you're gonna see results. But what I know that a lot of people did, and it's a bummer and it's frustrating for me, is that they didn't have that insane level of commitment, they didn't make it through, and they didn't see the results that they would like. So that is how this section came to be, right? I've tried to work with everything that I learned and that I'm going to teach you right now on a crash course of how human psychology and how the psychology of habits are formed to develop these integration actions in a way that they become part of your life. So to do that, I want to just tell you something that the habit that I built using this psychology. And it was basically that I'd always heard that drinking water, like 8 cups or 8 glasses a day, was really healthy for you. It was supposed to have a myriad of benefits on your mood and health. It's just never something that I was interested in, but it was always like, didn't have time to get the water. So I told this to the reader that I had been speaking with, and he actually helped me set up a way to do it. It was based on 3 parts. First, there's a trigger. And a trigger for any habit has to be very specific, and the more that you can hone in on a single instant, the powerful that trigger becomes. So what he helped me do is set up in my mind, I would sort of run through this process of I'd wake up in the morning, come into my kitchen, open the fridge, grab the eggs, and as soon as I grab those eggs, I'd have this thought, fill up your green water jug. And I'd let go of the eggs, grab the thing, go to the sink, fill it up, take it there, cook my eggs, and then bring both of those back to my room where I would eat them on my desk. And so now I've got this water jug on my desk based on the trigger that I'd set. Then the habit at that point becomes easy, right? If you've ever had a waiter filling up your water bottle, it's really easy to just drink all day. So the feedback loop is the next important part. because I'd get to the bottom of this water jug and I could, just go on, oh, I'll fill it later. But the idea is that as soon as that hit the bottom, that was feedback for me to immediately get up, go to the sink, and do it again. And just by making these few changes, right, setting up a trigger, having the habit form like this, and then a feedback loop where I was, one, feeling happy because I was drinking water, and two, there was feedback for me to know, okay, time to do it again, that this habit became very easy for me to live, and I live in a much more hydrated state now, which is great because it's something that I'd heard was helpful for a really long time. So the point of this is that with all of these exercises and the integration actions that I'm going to encourage you to do, you really need to set it up in this way. And I'm going to make it supportive of this, but you have to think in your own life, okay, what is the very specific trigger for this action? Second, what is the habit and how can I make it a tiny habit, right? For me, it was just fill up a water bottle. That's very easy. If you try to make a habit, run 10 miles in the morning, right? Or if you try to make it like impress everyone you interact with, that is too big. But when you make it very concrete, for instance, with the people that were trying to run, they did a study. They had one group set a goal at get up and run 10 miles, and another group set a goal at get up and put your running shoes on. What they found is more people who just had to put their running shoes on actually started to hit fitness goals because once their shoes were on, they were just inclined to go outside and run and get moving anyway. So you got to think for the habit part, how can I make it tiny? That's actually my job. That's what I do for you in these exercises. I tell you the specific tiny habit and you find the trigger in your life, and I'll have some suggestions for you there. And then third, the feedback loop. I've set it up so that these are the things that are most likely to get positive responses from other people, right? Because that's part of the feedback loop. When it feels good, you want to do it more. But you also are going to be in charge of giving yourself credit as soon as you complete the thing. So whether that means like a little victory or a pat on the back or just feeling good knowing that you're moving in the right direction, that positive feedback is absolutely critical to forming a habit that doesn't just happen once a day, right? I don't just fill up the water in the morning, but something that happens throughout the day and throughout your life and becomes just like second nature to you. That is what we want for charisma. So that is how to use this in a tiny habits way. That is how to use the integration actions. Go through one a day. I'm going to walk you through this, but this is the general overview of that. The last thing that I'll say is the cool thing about this is that I can make this extremely iterative, right? I can change the order. I can do whatever I need. So as you're going through these, please, please, please hit the forums. Tell me what days you find really helpful, which ones you love, if there's any that are confusing to you or any that you struggle with or that you're not getting past. Because that for me is going to say, okay, I need to move this to a different part. I need to switch the sequencing. I need to cut this one altogether. This one needs to move higher. And that's going to help me basically form a system that can take more people more reliably from where they are, solid charisma, but not out of the park, and help them get next level, right? Just crushing it in interviews, in networking events, with friends, coworkers, whatever. So please, 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 as you're doing these, and again, this is going to help the feedback loop for you, this isn't just for me, that if you are commenting on how they are affecting you, which ones are really good, which ones you're finding are sticking with you, which ones aren't, that is going to help me build a stronger system for everybody. So that is it for the preamble. Really excited. Go ahead if you want, cherry pick now whatever module you like, or just go ahead and start with first impressions, and then you can hit the first integration action. Very excited to get started, so here we go.